Hi guys, it's Xenia. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to part 2 of my huge perfume collection. So in this part, I'm going to be doing part 2 of my designer perfumes. As I said in the previous video, I'm just going to do a brief little summary. Up here is all my designers, which is what I'm going through in these first two parts. If you missed part 1, go and check it out. I will link it up here. That was basically this first half up here, and today I'm going to cover the second half. The third part of this video is going to be this row of perfumes. This is all of my affordable cheapies perfumes that I love, and the fourth and final part is going to be all of my celebrity perfumes, which are down here in the bottom row. With all that being said, please make sure that you're subscribed to my channel if you haven't already, and turn your post notifications on, and let's get into part 2. All right, continuing on with the designer fragrances. As in part 1, this is in no particular order. I'm just grabbing and talking. And as I said in part 1, I will not be going over notes or anything like that. I'm just giving brief descriptions, and this is mainly just me showing you my collection. I've already done like in-depth reviews of all these perfumes. The first perfume I have in this video is Dolce & Gabbana The Only One Intense. This is a flanker to the original The Only One, but this has nothing to do with The Only One. It's like completely different. This is basically like a creamy coconut version of the original Alien by Thierry Mugler. I feel like a lot of the people that didn't like Thierry Mugler love this perfume. This is a very sexy, dark, sensual type of scent, and it's a little bit easier to wear than Alien is because of that like creamy coconut that this has. It has that jasmine, so I think that's why the similarity is there. It smells so good. I love this perfume. Next up, I have Alien Fusion. I feel like I lucked up when I found this because I think this is more of like a rarer perfume. I think a lot of Alien's flankers are kind of really sought after because there's a really big following for the fragrance. I mean, I love Alien, so any flanker of it I will always seek out. Alien Fusion is kind of like a little bit sweeter. There's like more vanillas in here. It's so like crisp and floral, just like the original, but there's this like sweet vanilla aspect about it as well, and it's almost like fresher at the same time, which makes no sense because how can it be sweeter but then fresher at the same time? But it just can. I don't know. There's not that big of a difference. Like, I think they smell like 80% similar. So I think if you're like not a huge perfume person, I don't think you need both. But if you love the scent of Alien, you will love this. These right here are some of my all-time favorite perfumes. I love the original Good Girl by Carolina Herrera, one of my most complimented perfumes. It was honestly one of the first perfumes that made me start my perfume collection. And when I wore it, I remember I hadn't even bought it at that point. I had just sprayed it in the store, and when I came home, my husband was just like all over me. He loved how I smelled. He kept telling me, you smell so freaking good. And I don't know what points to pinpoint in this perfume because there's so many. Like, it's a literal whole book of notes that this has. But I guess some standout notes in here are like tuberose, vanilla. I think there's praline in it. It's sweet, it's floral, it's fruity. It's literally everything meshed all into one fragrance, and it is somehow, it's a man-eater. Like, it's a man-eater. I think the bottle just explains it all. And then this is a flanker. There's a few flankers to the original Good Girl. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like most of the Good Girl flankers. I hate Very Good Girl. I hate Very Good Girl Glam, the recent one that came out. They smell almost like they're rotten to me. I've talked about them in previous videos, but this flanker is my favorite flanker. This is so good. This is Good Girl Supreme. This is basically the original Good Girl if it had berry notes in it. So it has like more of a sweeter factor, even more of one than this one has. This is already a little bit sweet, but this one's even more, coming from like this sugary berry aspect. It's basically like they took the original DNA, which I love because I love that they kept that in it because it's so iconic, but they just added delicious berries in it, and it smells so good. So good. Speaking of The Only One Intense, this is the only one like I was just talking about. This smells very similar to me to Black Opium by YSL. It has the same coffee note in it mixed with like that vanilla, but I think there's caramel in it, and this is almost a little bit smoother in my opinion. and the patchouli in here is not as prominent as it is in Black Opium. So I almost like this one better because it's just a little bit smoother for my nose. It's just like caramel, vanilla, sugary sweetness mixed with this like coffee element that just kind of gives it like a sex appeal. And as I said in my previous video, if you didn't already watch that, I'm going to use the word sexy to describe a lot of these perfumes because that is something that I look for in my perfumes. So most of my perfumes are sexy. Next up, I have Angel Muse Eau de Toilette. I know a lot of people prefer the Eau de Parfum. I couldn't find that, so I went for this. But also, this one doesn't have patchouli in it. At least I'm pretty sure it doesn't have patchouli, which I think is why I bought it. Because one of the most prominent aspects and what makes Angel Muse is that patchouli. It's a very, very predominantly strong patchouli scent. It's what it's known to be. But they took it out in this one, so it's a little bit softer. And Angel Muse is, to begin with, it's a flanker of the original Angel. But it's almost kind of like its own fragrance at the same time because, I mean, it still has a little bit of that DNA, but they've added chocolate to these fragrances. And I believe there's chocolate in this one as well as the Eau de Parfum version. But it's a very strong, potent, extremely unique scent. And it's a scent that you only need a couple spritz of. It's basically like really, really chocolatey, but soft. And then mixed with that Angel, like the original Angel DNA. That's what Angel Muse smells like to me. This is Bvlgari Omnia Coral. This is one of my most complimented perfumes to date. This is a perfume that kind of falls in the same family as Chanel Chance Eau Tendre for me. And that's partly one of the reasons why I regret buying that fragrance because this one's so much cheaper and it's so much better. It's kind of like an aquatic floral fragrance that smells very feminine and fresh and kind of like an everyday, easy to wear type of fragrance. And every time I wear this, I don't know what it is, but people always love this fragrance. Like everybody just says that it smells lovely. I've gotten compliments with this fragrance in like the weirdest places. Like people love it. This is Thierry Mugler Aura. This is the Eau de Toilette version. The Eau de Parfum version I cannot speak on. I know everybody tends to dislike that fragrance because, I mean, it's a Thierry Mugler fragrance at the end of the day, so it's extremely unique. And I love the bottle. I think this is probably my most amazing bottle that I own in my entire collection. The EDT version, I can say that this is very wearable for me. Like, I don't even get that grassy aspect that everybody hates in the Eau de Parfum. Like, people say that it literally smells like lawn clippings. This one has a greenness about it, but there's a lot more fruitiness in here that's balancing out the green, so it doesn't just smell like straight up you just mowed the lawn. And it's a lot more wearable in my opinion, but it is very green. It's like a very earthy fragrance. I just think that this is wearable for me. Like, I don't even find it that incredibly polarizing. This fragrance, I don't think I've ever really talked about this on my channel, but this is an OG for me. I've had this for years. Like, at this point, I probably should throw it out, but I'm not going to because I love this. This is one of my first fragrances ever. Like, when my perfume collection was like 5 perfumes, this was one of them. I remember I bought this during the summertime, like 3-4 years ago, and it's all I wore during the summer. I always got compliments on it. And Bronze Goddess is exactly what it smells like. It smells like bronze, if that makes any sense. It's very beachy. It has kind of like a sunscreen to it, almost like coconut. It almost kind of gives me like sweet licorice vibes. Oh, I love it. I think it's so sexy. Literal Bronze Goddess. If you want to be a Bronze Goddess this summer, wear Bronze Goddess. Okay, this is in my collection only because my mom like wanted to throw this out and I was like, no, I'll take it. But to be honest, I don't think I ever wore it. She obviously used up most of it. This is Tresor in Love by Lancome. And it just smells like a perfume. Like, it smells like a basic perfume. It doesn't smell like anything crazy. It smells nice, like very feminine and floral and like bright floral though, like not in a mature way. But it just doesn't wow me. It's a fragrance that I would grab if I was going to the gym or something like that. Like, not that crazy. Narciso by Narciso Rodriguez. This is the only Narciso Rodriguez perfume that I like. I am not somebody that likes this house. I've tried the For Her one in the pink bottle and it is one of my most despised perfumes ever. It is such a heavy, mature rose for me and I do not like it one bit. But this one I love. This is like a musky scent, but it smells like money. It smells clean and rich. Like this is what a rich person smells like. Like where I live, there's a lot of neighborhoods that have like mansions in them. Like a lot of rich people live here, and sometimes we'll go and drive through those neighborhoods, and this smells like what a person that lives in those mansions would smell like. It smells like money. It's like musky, but in such a clean way, almost like a luxury soap that's like $5,000. We have this bottle. I love the bottle. It's beautiful, and it's giving off like dark sexy vibes, and that's basically what this smells like. This is La Nuit Tresor. This is a polarizing fragrance because it's a very strong fragrance, and I'm not even gonna spray it out because I've sprayed out like a million perfumes at this point. But this one is kind of like a heavier version of like Black Opium. It's in that family of like being very sweet. It has a ton of notes in it. I believe there's coffee in it because I smell it straight out of the bottle. And there's just like a lot of like sweet notes happening in this perfume. It's very sexy. People call this like an aphrodisiac type of perfume because it seems like men really love it, but it is really, really strong. So it is also a bit of a polarizing scent because of that reason, because it just projects like it's like monster projection. One of my all-time favorite perfumes, I love it. Juliet Has a Gun Lipstick Fever. This is a perfume that smells like makeup. Super sexy. Like super, super sexy. It smells like a hot girl. It smells like lipstick. Like lipstick fever is the perfect name for it. It smells like a sweet lipstick. I have Azzaro Wanted Girl. I really like this perfume. It's another sweet perfume, like basically every single one of these other perfumes that I mentioned. This one's like caramelly woodiness. Kind of like reminds me of like La Nuit Tresor, reminds me of Black Opium, Dolce Gabanna The Only One. Like it falls into that category. It's a little bit easier than all of those. It doesn't have that coffee note. It is a really good one though, and my husband really, really loves this one. This is another one that takes me way back to when I first made a video about this. Let me know if you guys have been with me since that video, because I filmed that video so long ago, it feels like. When I did like my first impression of this video, that's like way down on my channel. But this is Marc Jacobs Decadence, and it looks like a little purse, and people say it looks tacky. I love the bottle. I think it's so pretty. It's unlike all of the other Marc Jacobs fragrances. Like this is their most unique fragrance. It is very green like, but it has an element of sweetness to it as well. It almost somewhat like reminds me of this Aura perfume by Thierry Mugler, like the EDT. It has that same sort of greenness to it. I believe this has vetiver, which I think is what gives off that green vibe. Some people call it really sexy. Some people absolutely hate this scent. So it's one of those, you either love it or you hate it scents. It's kind of polarizing in that way because it's more like unique, and not everybody loves these more like fresher green type of fragrances. But there's also an element of sweetness in here, and a lot of people find it sexy. This fragrance, this is Miss Dior Absolutely Blooming. Out of all of the Miss Diors that I've tried, obviously this is the only one in my collection because I didn't like any of the other ones. I smelled all of the other ones because I was in the mood to spend money that day and I really wanted a Miss Dior fragrance, but I didn't like any of the other ones. I smelled Rose and Roses, way too much rose for me. I don't like rose to begin with. They're all very floral, and I think they all have rose in them, but this one was the sweetest one to me, and this one slightly resembles Giorgio Armani C in my opinion. It smells so good. Like this one was way more complex than the other ones, and that floral element wasn't as strong in here. Like it's balanced out by a lot of sweet notes as well. So yeah, I really, really like this. It's similar. Like it gives me vibes to Giorgio Armani C for sure. It doesn't smell like wine like C does. This one's like a little bit sweeter, I think. Actually, I have the perfect fragrance that I can compare to this to, and that is You're the One by Bath & Body Works. It kind of like reminds me of that slightly, but I feel like You're the One is even more floral, like the rose is even more strong, whereas this one's a little bit sweeter. But I love pairing the two up because that's like one of my most complimented fragrances ever. Okay, this is one of my all-time favorite perfumes that I have in my collection. This is Jean Paul Gaultier La Belle. I love this bottle, first of all. This is like very simple notes in here. There's pear, caramel, and vetiver in here. That pear and vanilla make this really, really sweet, almost gourmand-like, But that vetiver, I think, really saves it, because if it was just pear and vanilla, it would smell kind of like basic. But this is so perfume-like and so elevated, and it smells expensive because of that vetiver. And I know vetiver is kind of a polarizing note because it can tend to come off really green. It doesn't really come off green in this fragrance. It just kind of spices up the other notes, in my opinion. It is so sexy. It's gonna give you so many compliments. This is another one that I have a first impression up on my channel that I filmed like a year ago, more than a year. But I remember my first impression of this was like amazing, and it has stayed that way. This fragrance, I don't even know why I bought, because even when I bought it, I wasn't like in love with it, but I was trying to become in love with it. This is Dior Poison Girl, the Eau de Toilette. This is very strong. It's very potent. It's fall and winter for sure. Like, I could not see myself wearing this anytime soon. Right now, it's way too hot for this. It's like a very powdery, sweet, pungent scent. I feel like this can lean very sickly sweet, especially for like hot weather. I don't see myself wearing this in the hot weather at all. Fall and winter, it does a little bit better. I do like to kind of tone it down with body sprays. Like, I like to mix this because it can kind of tend to be a little bit much for me on its own. It's very strong though, and it's also very long lasting. And then speaking of Dior, I have two more Dior fragrances. This is Hypnotic Poison. Speaking of winter fragrances, this is like the epitome of a winter fragrance. This, a lot of people say that it smells like Play-Doh to them. This is very strong, like almost kind of smells like crackers, like amaretto cream. Very, very sweet, almost to the point where it's a gourmand. It's so sexy and strong. It's very dense and potent, sweet, like sweet, sweet, sweet scent. You have to be a sweet lover to enjoy this scent. And I definitely don't recommend wearing this springtime, summertime, any kind of hot weather. This is only like fall and winter, more so winter, honestly, because it's just way too like thick. Like, it's a thick, almost like syrupy type of scent. So that's Hypnotic Poison. And then on the total opposite of Hypnotic Poison, this is Pure Poison. That's why it's called Pure Poison. This basically smells like a lot of white florals, but white florals can sometimes tend to come off very mature like. And this one is more so like clean white florals. It's not too mature in my opinion. I mean, it's mature, but it's not too mature. And I really, really like it. And this actually reminds me of this brand new scent that just came out, the Viktor and Rolf Good Fortune perfume. This one right here. I did go smell it in store. When I saw the bottle, I was like, I have to get that perfume. It's gorgeous. And then I went into Macy's and I smelled it and I was like, that smells like Pure Poison by Dior. I don't know if anybody agrees, but it was just like a white floral mess of a fragrance. I did not like it. This one's very likable though. It's very like clean florals, and when this dries down, it almost becomes like a clean linen type of scent, but in a wearable way. I really, really like this. This is Mancera Roses Greedy. I was really lucky to find this at a TJ Maxx because this is like, I guess, more of like a higher end niche fragrance. Like, you find this in like Nordstrom's and stores like that. It's like over the $100 mark usually, but I found it at TJ Maxx for like $70 or $80. And I don't know what it was doing there because TJ Maxx usually has discontinued fragrances, but this is not discontinued. Like, you could still find this in store for like 150, almost 200. It's like roses and vanilla. It smells like a grown-up version of Bvlgari in my opinion. It's so pretty. I know it's called Roses Greedy and I'm not a huge rose lover. So when I saw that that was part of the name, I had to do my research on this before I blind bought it. But I'm so glad that I bought it because, yes, it's rosy, but not in a mature rosy kind of way. Like, it's not that synthetic, heavy, mature rose. It's a very light, almost aquatic rose with like this hint of sweetness to it. And there's something in it that really kind of reminds me of Bvlgari. It's almost like you mix Bvlgari with Roses Vanille, which is also by Mancera. Like, it kind of reminds me of that. So that is Roses Greedy, and I love the bottle. It has like this pink ombre. It's super cute. This is like a famous bottle. I feel like this is a very popular perfume Jean Paul Gaultier Scandale. I used to be obsessed with wanting this perfume for such a long time, and I bought like the big bottle of it. This reminds me of when I first bought it. This fragrance straight up smells like you put your head through a beehive, like a honey pot, a pot of honey. It just smells like honey, like straight up syrupy, thick, sticky honey. It smells exactly like honey. There's not much more to say. There's honey in here, obviously. There's like caramel, there's vanilla, just a lot of really sweet, almost sickly sweet notes. So you gotta wear this more so in like winter, where the weather can handle this type of fragrance, because it's very thick and syrupy and just like sticky honey. That's basically what it is. But it is a sexy fragrance if you wear it right. And it's also like monster projection. You literally don't even need 2 sprays of that. You probably just need like 1 from afar and you're done. Like any more than that and you're going to knock somebody out. This is another fragrance that gets tons of compliments in my collection. Versace Crystal Noir. It smells like shampoo to me. I'm sorry if you're a viewer of mine and you watch my channel and you watch my videos regularly, but I always say the exact same thing about this fragrance. This smells like after you take a shower and you've used your shampoo, your conditioner, body scrubs, shower gel and everything, and all those scents are like mixing together and they're like steamed up. And then you walk out of the shower, you walk out of the bathroom, and then you go back in to brush your hair, whatever you're gonna do. That smell that's like lingering in the air with the steam, that's this smell. It's like this mixture of hair products and body washes and just so good. It has like this dark coconut in it. I do have the Eau de Toilette version, which seems to be the most preferred version. And I know that supposedly in the Eau de Toilette, this one, the Eau de Toilette doesn't have coconut, whereas the Eau de Parfum does have coconut. But to me, I can 1000% smell coconut in it. But it's not the type of coconut that you've ever smelled before. It's a dark, really dark, sensual coconut. It doesn't smell beachy at all. It's like dark, fresh coconut. Next up, I have Girl of Now by Saab. The perfume in here is like quickly turning color because I've had it for a while. But also, that's just like what vanillas kind of tend to do over time. They just turn. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad because this smells the same to me. Honestly, this is not groundbreaking to me anymore. I was really excited to when I first owned this because I wanted it for so long, but having this now, this perfume basically smells like Azzaro wanted, girl. It smells like Dolce & Gabanna the only one. It smells like a lot of sweet fragrances. There's like pistachio, almond. It's again a very like sweet fragrance. This is another one that I would consider a winter fragrance because it's just a little bit too thick for right now. Versace Eros Pour Femme. This is the Eau de Toilette. The Eau de Toilette is the preferred version of this. I like to say that just to kind of let you guys know, but that doesn't mean that you're not gonna like the Eau de Parfum. I'm just telling you what's kind of like known about these fragrances. But this one, I can describe this in one way. It smells exactly like the white gummy bear. I think the white gummy bear is pineapple flavored. There's no pineapple in here. It's like citruses and sweet notes. It smells amazing. This is like a fresh scent for that a sweet lover can enjoy because there's sweetness in it, almost in like a candy way, like literally the white gummy bear. It smells so good. I love pairing that up with raspberry tangerine from Bath & Body Works. I think they do perfect together. Next up, I have Shiseido Zen. This bottle is gigantic. Let me know if you guys watched the haul where I hauled this. I broke the perfume because I dropped it and now the nozzle of it just like squirts. It doesn't even spray, which is really annoying. I mean, it still works. It still sprays out. But this is basically the younger, less serious version of Coco Mademoiselle. There's a lot more fruity notes in here and it just keeps it like upbeat and fun. I think there's like pineapple in it. It's a lot more wearable and easier to like than Coco Mademoiselle is, but it does kind of have that vibe to Coco Mademoiselle in here. But this one I wear and Coco Mademoiselle I don't. Like the patchouli in that one is way too strong, whereas in here it's wearable and it actually lasts a long time for it being more so like a fresher fragrance. This is Dolce & Gabbana Pour Femme, the intense version. So I believe this one also has marshmallow, but it's kind of a known fact that the original Perfume has marshmallow in it. I'm pretty sure I've smelled the original because there's no way that I haven't smelled that one considering it has marshmallow. Marshmallow is like my favorite note in a perfume. Like I'm almost to the point where if a perfume has marshmallow in it, I buy it. Like I don't even look at anything else. And so that's really what attracted me with these fragrances. But what I really love about this one is the fact that it reminds me a lot of my YSL Manifesto, which I talked about in the part 1 of this collection video. But yeah, it smells exactly like it. It's another kind of like spicy vanilla, insanely sexy. It's not as strong and potent as Manifesto is, and it's also not as mature as this one is. Like this one's a little bit younger feeling to me, but the scent of it is the same. It kind of starts off a little bit like spicy and fresh, then it kind of becomes like a spicy vanilla, and then it settles down to like that marshmallowy vanilla scent, but it has like this woody base. So good. Then I have Dolce Gabbana L'Imperatrice. My parents actually got this way before I was even into perfumes. My mom got this. I think they were on a cruise and she bought this for me. This basically smells like watermelon. This is the eau de toilette, by the way. And when you spray it, it's literally fresh watermelon with a little bit, it's like aquatic watermelon. Even though watermelon is mostly water to begin with, but there's also like an aquatic note added to that watermelon. That's basically what this smells like. It's very fresh and very like summer appropriate. Then I have Cheirosa 62 Sol by Sol de Janeiro. This is incredible. It smells exactly like the Bum Bum Cream. It smells like the body mist. Cheirosa 62 is a very popular scent. This is like pistachio, almond, caramel, vanilla. And you would think that those notes would create like a wintry, more thick fragrance because there's similar notes in Girl of Now with the pistachio and caramel notes, but it does something different in here. And this one, it's coming out very summery and beachy. It's so good. It's sweet on top of everything, but a sweet that is very summer appropriate. And it's so sexy. Again, I'm trying to not use that word, but I cannot use it. It's just the only way that I can describe this. I have 4 Burberry fragrances. The first one is probably the most popular, Burberry Her. This smells like Baccarat Rouge, but if you added strawberry. Like the strawberry note in here, and I think there's a couple other berries, but the strawberry is very prominent. It's strong, especially when you first spray it out on first spray. The opening of this is like a blast of strawberry, but then you get that Baccarat Rouge vibe. It's literally Baccarat Rouge with the strawberry note. That's Burberry Her. This is, I think it's called Burberry Brit. I think this has almond in it, and I think it has pear. I've always loved this perfume. There's something so unique to me about it. It smells so good. I literally cannot describe this. It's like sexy and classy at the same time. It's sweet because of that pear. Then the almond kind of gives us like a creamy vibe to it. It's a little bit sour as well, and it definitely smells grown in the best possible way. Then I have Burberry Body. This is the eau de parfum. They have an eau de toilette version, which I don't know about. I got this because it was supposed to be similar to this perfume that I used to own years ago. That perfume doesn't even exist anymore. This smells like clean shampoo. It kind of smells a little bit on the mature side. So I don't always wear this, but I like it just for nostalgia because it does remind me of that perfume that I used to use. It's weird that I'm calling this like super mature because the perfume that this smells like, I used to wear when I was literally like 11. Now this is too mature for me. Like, okay. And then the last Burberry perfume I have is Burberry London. This smells classy, sophisticated, bougie, rich, and sexy. It's a rose, but with a little something to it. There is a bit of sweetness in it as well. It smells expensive. This smells like a Burberry coat. It smells like you're walking around the streets of New York City, but like you live in a high-rise. You know, you're not walking around with the rats. That's this. And then the last 4 perfumes that I have for this part 2, these are all by Skylar. I know that these are not designers technically, but they are sold at Sephora, so they're still like $70-$80. So let me quickly go over them. My absolute favorite, as we all know, is Vanilla Sky. I first got introduced to Vanilla Sky when I tried it in the older packaging when they all used to be eau de toilettes. and then they reformulated and everything became eau de parfum, so the lasting power is a lot better. But there's a cappuccino note in it. It's a very cozy, warm vanilla cappuccino, sweet, creamy vanilla scent. It smells like you're doing your homework in like a cafe in Paris, and it's like nighttime and it's like sprinkling outside, and there's little like lights in the coffee shop. It's like dim lights. That's what this gives me vibes of. I love Vanilla Sky. Then another one of my favorites is Pink Canyon. This is very like woody. I love this one. It's like woody musky. I'm sure there has to be cedar in here, and maybe some sort of like citrus. Oh, I find this incredibly sexy. I think I'm gonna bring this with me to vacation because it smells really, really nice and summery. Like there's kind of like a lightheartedness about it, but it's very woody, and I love woody scents. So love Pink Canyon. Then I have Isle Escape. This one is very aquatic. I think there's like coconut water in here or something. Very aquatic, very blue smelling. I believe there's some citrus in it. Very just like fresh and refreshing. And then the last one is Honeysuckle Dream. This one obviously has honeysuckle, and it smells exactly like a honeysuckle tree. Like white florals. It's very, very white florally, like very florally. But I actually don't mind it, considering I don't like florals, and this is like heavy floral. But I think it smells really good. It just reminds me of like spring and like blooming flowers. So we have officially made it to the end of part 2 of my designer perfumes. We're all done now with the designer perfumes, and now we can move on to this entire row. So this will all be one video. I'm gonna have to somehow do this all in one video. But yeah, stay tuned for part 3, which is going to be my affordable cheapies. I have a feeling a lot of you guys are probably gonna love that part the most because you guys love the affordable options, as do I. Anyways, that is it for this video. Please subscribe to my channel and turn your post notifications on, and stay tuned for part 3.